that. So let's just check here. It says we're ready to start. It looks like it's starting. Oh, yes. Give me half a second. So, guys, each week we bring you an expert stage hypnotist, an expert within the hypnosis field. And tonight is absolutely no difference. Let me just say that. It says that I'm live there. There we go. You can hear me. That's fine. Comment from Richard Cole. What's shaking? Richard Cole is here. Ian Rogers is here. Hello. I think there's going to be a lot of people. We are going live on Facebook and YouTube. If you are on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. It always helps the algorithm. But yes, tonight's guest is one of the most notorious bad boys of the hypnosis world. You can't be in this industry and not know who this man is. And he has been accused of just about everything that you could accuse a hypnotist of. Absolutely everything. He's a counterfeiter. He was involved in criminality. He's been involved in using hypnosis for all sorts of craziness, which we're going to address all that as well. Apparently, he has the world record for the most fake Facebook accounts, but we will find out. So, guys, please, I have been sent some questions as well. That's fantastic. Please do, if you have any questions, put them in the comment section. Please be respectful. But he has told me you can ask anything and he is happy to answer them as well. Set your stopwatches. Last time I had this gentleman on, I had a time in the background to see how long it would be before he swore, but I was just running around before we went live to find it. I don't think it will be long, but guys, please do. Oh, there we go. Someone's just put, how long will it be before he swears? That's definitely the northern side. So Jesse Lewis, nice to meet you, buddy. So guys, without further ado, please put your emoji, applause emoji in the comment section wherever you're watching from. And please do make him feel very welcome just after this quick clip. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you are watching in the world, please make him feel very welcome. The man, the myth, the legend. I do believe he has a T-shirt that says, yes, I am the one. I've billed him as Jonathan Royle tonight. It's Alex William Smith, Dr. Jonathan Royle. Alex, Jonathan, how are we taught? What is your moniker tonight?
Whatever. I was born Alex William Smith. That was my birth name, but it doesn't sound great. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome live on stage, Alex Smith. So when I started off as Flap the Clown on the circus, when I got into doing magic, it was Alex Leroy. After Sir Vas Leroy, an ancient illusionist who invented this floating lady illusion where she vanished in the air. Nice. And I started off as a stage hypnotist and hypnotherapist back in 1989. I was 14. That's when I started treating clients with hypnotherapy for money. And 1990, when I started doing stage hypnosis performances for money, age 15, and I used the name Alex Leroy then. Some negative publicity occurred in the early 90s. I'm sure we'll address that later. So a bit later, when I wanted to relaunch and distance from that negative publicity, which ironically, the real negativity of the publicity in the 90s wasn't about me, although hypnotists who had it in for me pointed the finger at me. It was actually about a lady who died after a stage hypnosis show. No connection to stage hypnosis, but a mother emotionally thought there was a link and set up a campaign against stage hypnotists. I wasn't the hypnotist who did the show. It was somebody called Andrew Vincent. But because I was getting shown on all the news programs and got all the TV coverage, people started to try and push the blame towards me. So I just found it easier to change my name. When thinking of a new stage name that sounded good when you were introduced, I took Leroy, L-E-R-O-Y, made it into an anagram, R-O-Y-L-E, became Royle. Alex Royle didn't sound too good because phonetically, when it goes bum, 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 it's better for a compare. Hence it became, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome live on stage, Jonathan Royle. There's a phonetic thing there. Sometimes, you know, you can get more applause just by changing your stage name.
Oh, that's what I need to do. I need to add some more syllables.
You're all right. Grant Saunders. It works. Grant Saunders.
Yeah.
Dude, it's about the delivery.
Brilliant. So
yeah, we'll cover anything you want. Ask any questions in the chat box anyone wants to. I don't care how obscene, offensive those questions seem to be. I'll answer them.
It gives you a chance to kind of put your side across as well in a brief way.
Okay.
And yeah, I hope the guys watching have got their cocoa ready. I mean, you talked then about the 90s. Weird. I mean, stage hypnosis is so different now to what it was then. And back then, in the days of The Word with Terry Christian, you know, TV was a bit more shocking than what it is now. So when stuff that is now on the internet from back then, you know, it is perceived in a slightly different way. But back in the 90s, you know, you did almost anything to get on TV, and you did almost anything to get on TV. I do remember the Robert Kilroy Silk Show.
Yeah, they paid me. Well, it makes more sense if I put it into context. But in the early 90s, by the early 90s, I'm talking about 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, until about April 98, where it all came to a head with the News of the World. No doubt we'll come back to later. Just says, you are getting sleepy.
You do have a fine collection of T-shirts. I do know that.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll come back to the News of the World later. But in that period of the 90s, I quite literally appeared on local, regional, and national television in England, and international television worldwide, Europe, America, all over the place. And in those years, racked up literally hundreds of television appearances. Mainly as a comedy stage hypnotist, mainly as the British bad boy of hypnosis. Lots of them in my previous stage name of Alex Leroy, the vast majority of them, including my own 1 hour adult XXX rated hypnotic special on German RTL TV in 1994. I'm not saying these things to brag, I'm just putting it out there. You know, a lot of people who slag me off just are either jealous or just haven't got a clue that I've been there, done it, and worn the T-shirt out.
You've got. Most people know a lot of your history, but you were born from a performing background. You've been performing from a very early age, and you were in stage hypnosis in what was the heydays of stage hypnosis. I mean, you know, in its peak, how many shows a week were you doing?
The most shows I ever did in a week. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, about 21.
Wow.
And they were, just to clarify, two of them, well, 4 of them, so 2 venues, would have been maybe 2 shows in a venue, and all the rest were different. It was traveling, because there was literally a time when stage hypnosis was bigger than karaoke, bigger than tribute acts. And I could do, say on a Sunday, I could do an afternoon, lunchtime, closed doors, stripper show where they have the strippers on getting the bits out. And I was on with them. And I could perhaps get to, once I'd done my 45-minute spot, get to another pub to do another afternoon stripper show before doing an evening show in a pub, before going to a working men's club, before going to a nightclub somewhere.
Yeah.
Now that wasn't a regular Sunday. That happened occasionally. It happened for a few months, but quite regularly, I would be doing between 7 to 14 shows a week.
Nice.
For a period of a couple. I did more shows basically in 1992, 93, 94, 95, and 96. In that 5 years, than a lot of British stage hypnotists doing an entire career these days.
Yeah. Well, I was just about to say, when you said that, when you did 21 shows in a week, you know, in the UK, that's more than the majority of stage hypnotists do in a year.
True, yeah.
Yeah. Natasha, straight out of the bat there with the comment. I mean, I was going to give it a few minutes before we got there. Natasha says, okay, I'll kick this controversy off. What's this story about using hypnosis to get girls?
Okay, Natasha, I will come to that in a moment because I didn't fully answer the TV thing. Hundreds of TV shows around the world, but as well as the hypnosis stuff over here, I was still doing my magic and mentalism, which I was doing before I ever did hypnosis. So I was doing TV shows with that. And then over here, I, from about 1994 to 1998, for a 4-year period, set out on a bit of a mission, a project. And it's one that I've taken up again in the past few years, which will become clear in a minute. But that mission and project was to expose the worldwide media for the bunch of liars that they are, and or to expose them for their lack of ability or lack of desire to investigate the truth. And so under numerous different names, wearing the most basic of disguises, I became certainly England's biggest ever media prankster at the time, but also did worldwide media pranks with fake stories, everything from being addicted to Quaver's Crisp, to apparently being a man who collected snails and wouldn't get rid of them, to being a guy who wore a paper bag on his head and wouldn't remove it until Princess Diana dumped Dodie. And these things got me on the front pages of newspapers. I made money out of them, but also it built me up a massive back catalogue of TV, radio, newspaper appearances that I'd later be able to revert to and show, you know what, the media don't check. They just want a story. They want to make money. They couldn't care less about the truth. And my aim was then to ultimately expose all that, along with the most controversial newspaper, which is now shut down for hacking a murdered schoolgirl's phone, Millie Dowler. If you search the News of the World in England, Millie Dowler, the murdered schoolgirl, a phone was hacked, leading to the closure of the News of the World. Well, my aim, I've been in the News of the World multiple times with fake stories, but my aim was to get one over on the chief investigations editor, the so-called fake sheikh, Mazza Mahmood. And I did. Unfortunately, what I didn't know at the time that I now do, hence I've got litigation running against Rupert Murdoch, the media mogul, because I've got receipts now and proof and evidence that they employed private investigators to hack my phone. So they knew I was trying to expose them. And they couldn't let that happen. So they used every trick in the book to get one over on me. And it landed me in prison for a short while. Albeit that
we'll touch back on
we'll
that.
We'll come back to that later. But that's the kind of media prank thing.
Exactly. And in the 90s, it was very much in keeping, like I say, with the word with Terry Christian. So a couple of quick questions as well.
So the women, going to the women.
Quick questions.
Natasha asked about the women. The first time that the son that I learned that Rupert Murdoch's media totally had a disregard for the truth was in 1993, when they started coming to see shows of mine. Shortly after Sharon Taban died, a number of hours after a hypnosis show by Andrew Vincent at the Roebuck Public House in Preston. Anyway, they came to my shows and they interviewed me. And one of the routines I did was to say, sleep. In a few moments' time, when I awaken you, you'll believe I am Richard Gere, the man of your dreams, or your favourite film star. Richard Gere was always a good one at the time. But the more I click my fingers, the more you'll fall madly, passionately, deeply in love with me, the hypnotist, and you'll really want to get my attention. The more I ignore you, the more you fall positively in love with me. And I'd wake up the volunteer, ignore her. She'd end up putting her arms around me. I'd whisper in her ear, off microphone, run your head down my body, I'll say sleep in a minute. To the audience, it looked as though she just started moving her head down her body, and I'd say sleep when her head got to my belly button, navel area. And it gave the suggestion that if I hadn't stopped her, I didn't say anything verbally, but it visually gave the suggestion that if I'd not stopped her, she was about to give me oral sex of her own accord. But I didn't say anything to that effect. I hadn't verbally suggested it on mic. But that's the perception people got. Great laugh.
Yes. So again, that's one of the things that's been tarred with you. That you.
But can I just say that the Sun newspaper wrote this up as I hypnotise women to get them into bed for sex.
Yes. Yes.
That never happened, and they quote a woman called Kim as saying she had the best sex of her life. Well, yes, I did pay an actress called Kim to speak to the Sun and say that she had consensual sex with me, a sexual fantasy hypnosis on her request, consensually. And I had a recording of that to prove what she'd said. What they published was not what she said.
Yeah.
Total disregard for the truth. They published that she said she'd volunteered at a stage show, and the next thing she did, she woke up in the hypnotist drafty house, and she wondered why she was naked in bed. Never happened. That's not what she said. It never happened anyway, because she was an actress being paid to say she'd had the best sex ever that she'd asked for and consented for. But the newspaper twisted it and lied, as Rupert Murdoch's papers often do. Hence, I'm in litigation with them many years on.
I mean, it's weird. And I think, I mean, obviously you can understand like a lot of hypnotists these days as well. There is that preconception about the power struggle between a male hypnotist and female volunteers. And I think some of that has come from those stories from the news of the world. Quick question, moving on a little bit as well, actually talking about some show stuff as well.
Okay.
Jesse Lewis, what started the boom in the 90s and how do we make that happen again as an industry? That's a really
right. Okay. The bad news is, guys, it's never going to happen again to the level it did then. Guaranteed. No. Stage hypnosis has got, optimistically, maximum of 20 years worldwide. I'd say probably 10 to 15 before you could earn more money playing tiddlywinks on the street.
Yeah.
Those that are clever, a handful of literally maybe a dozen people worldwide will always make an above average income from it. But stage hypnosis in general, for the majority, you may as well get a job stacking shelves. You'll get paid more in 10 or 15 years' time. It's going downhill worldwide. There's too many people doing it. But that doesn't matter at the moment. But it's just that, generally speaking, hypnosis, the world's a different place. With social media, with too many things to occupy people do not have the attention span they used to have, and they are now far worse hypnotic subjects than they used to be, and they're far less imaginative than they used to be, and they're not as funny improvisation wise as they used to be, because the brains are dulled. That's society in general. And within the next 10 years, the way things are going, it'll be dull as ditch water trying to watch a stage hypnosis show.
I find that audiences, you know, people aren't used to going out to watch live shows as much as what they, you know, back in the olden days. And so audiences need to learn how to respond as audiences. Ian Rogers says, have either of you had a show that hasn't gone right and you've had to end it? And if so, how did you end it? I mean, I'll answer that quickly first, but yes, absolutely. And literally you go, well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. For me, I always go, do you know what? We'll give it another try in about 10, 15 minutes time. And if that doesn't work, thank you, good night. There's nothing you can do. Sometimes it happens.
Anyone who says that's never happened to them is either A, a complete liar, or B, hasn't done enough shows, or C, and this is not a plug, although it is, if they've studied stuff that's in my Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp, but to use the that are taught in there, then they will never fail at a show.
Yeah.
They will, but they won't. In the audience's eyes, they will not fail, because you will have a number of guaranteed to work routines that cannot fail, will work, and look like hypnosis to the audience. And I'm not on about whispering in the volunteers' ear, play along. No, I'm on about things that when you do them, the person involved, however big a skeptic they may be, ends up going, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And genuinely believes that something special happened, and their only conclusion, because of the way it's presented, is that they must have been hypnotized. Now, it won't be a conventional funny, sketchy comedy hypnosis show. It'll end up turning into a more Derren Brown, amazing demonstration of the power of the mind and how something that appears impossible becomes possible. But once you know these techniques, you can never fail, because you can always do a show and get paid.
And I think, for me, I think that's where a foundation in either comedy or presenting or knowing how to handle an audience goes in your favor. I think a lot of people, when they're first learning hypnosis, concentrate too much on language patterns, script, and routines are not about the audience stuff. Because if you don't get volunteers, if it's all going bad, if you can still hold the attention of the audience. I've saved a show with an arm lock. Like an arm lock. That was the peak of that particular show. It was a disaster, but people were still entertained.
In your mind, but not to the audience.
Exactly. So yeah, CJ Jackson has a great question. What 5 core things do you think are the most important for a beginner hypnotist to focus on so they don't lose drive?
5. Okay, number 1. I think that Grant kind of touched on it there. I was fortunate. I came from a show business background, but I would say that perhaps I don't mean full-time dance, but maybe, you know, have a few dance and movement lessons. Yeah. Okay. The difference between pointing at a volunteer on stage and going, you over there, and I'm doing it very slowly here, but the difference between going jerky or going, and if you could just move over there, but in a more flowing, and if you could just go over there. It's a non-verbal thing, but little things like that visually make you look more professional to the audience, and it's picked up on a non-verbal level by the volunteers. Yeah. So movement, how you walk, but don't plod up around the stage. Learn the pointing of the toes. Movement is 1. I'd say number 2, if you can, just do a couple of acting classes, because David Devant, the late magician, said that a magician is merely an actor playing the part of what an audience perceives a magician to be.
Yes.
I said at my No Such Thing as Hypnosis seminar in the early 90s that I believe that a hypnotist is merely an actor playing the part of what the audience perceives a hypnotist to be.
Yeah.
So acting, so it also helps then give you part 3, which is the confidence, the charisma, the conviction, for when things go wrong, so you can be shitting yourself inside, but projecting that charm and stuff out there. And also, as Grant said before, to carry on even if you didn't have volunteers. Number 4, be realistic and truthful, and realise that not every show's going to go the way you want it.
Yeah.
Also realise that there will be nights that you consider to be a complete failure. But if you've studied something like my Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp, you will always be able to do a show, and you will always be able to get the volunteers who come up on stage to experience something that they will go back to the audience and say, I believe I was hypnotized.
Yeah.
So that you get paid, so you get rebooked. But number 5, perhaps most important of all, is don't become a course junkie going on course after course, which is ridiculous, because later on I'm going to say, come on my course. But there's a reason for that, as you'll hear later. If you're going to do any courses, make sure it's not on hypnosis, that it's actually on marketing, advertising, publicity and promotion, so that you can MAPP, put yourself on the map. Because if you do that right, then 99.9% recurring of the job is done before the people even enter the venue or step foot on stage. The induction's already done, and then a trained chimpanzee can, so you can do it. No offense, but if you do your marketing, advertising, publicity and promotion right, and you walk on stage with confidence, say the right things in the right manner, and look like you know what you're doing, a trained chimpanzee can be a stage hypnotist. That doesn't mean you'll be a good entertainer, though. They're 2 separate things.
So we see Natasha in the comment section there, plugging some links as well, which is fantastic. On that subject, you are notoriously well known for being, I'll use the word spam marketing. You know, you are known within the community.
You can use that word, or under the Can Spam Act, which is the laws that regulate spam around the world. The item has to be non-relevant to where it's posted to legally be spam. And given that hypnosis product posted in hypnosis groups are relevant, legally it cannot be defined as spam in law.
Yes, I'm not talking the legal term. Just it's the word that gets bandied around. Now, my thoughts on this is and I know this. I've bought products from you, and I know lots of hypnotists have bought products from you. And
I know it's before you've got transparency template in the background.
There you go. It's right here.
If you're a stage hypnotist, hold it up to camera. I tell you, if you're a stage hypnotist and you have not studied the transparency template, I know this is going to sound arrogant, but I guarantee you've still got shitloads to learn. And I don't care if you've been in the industry for 30, 40 years. I guarantee you've still got shitloads to learn if you've not studied the transparency. Now, the only way to get transparency template now is as a download, because the physical DVDs are sold out, and the download doesn't come with all the example risk assessments and all the documents that are worth a weight in gold. To get them, you have to join the Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp. Look at the comments on Facebook or YouTube that Natasha's put, because there's a link there, and if you use the discount code HYPNOTIZE, HYPNOTIZE, in block capitals, you will reduce the price from $4,997 down to $497. And I guarantee you, because it comes with a full 1 year, 100% satisfaction money back guarantee,
exactly.
You will learn stuff that no other person has ever taught you about stage hypnosis that will end up making you go, why the fuck did I get taught that? Why did I get ripped off in the past?
We will get to the sales pitch. So
no pitch, it's a fact. If you've not studied transparency template, you've still got shitloads to learn. I know it sounds arrogant, but I'm guaranteeing you.
Getting back to this, and this is me saying good things about you. Anyone that's bought product from you knows you over deliver every time. I remember buying a DVD from you. I went to come pick it up, and you gave me a DVD, some DVDs, some other stuff, and I ended up leaving with a box full of stuff. And I think sometimes in the groups, that's what people see. They just see lots and lots of content, but they don't actually look beyond the content. Interesting question.
Can I just say as well, because people go, why do you post all these things in groups? Let me tell you something. 99.9% of the time I don't. Guess what? You can buy software that joins Facebook groups for you.
Yeah.
And then you put one ad in it and it posts them to the groups. Guess what? I've got a life. I don't need to be sat there posting stuff. I've got better things to do with my time. Why do I carry on letting the software do that? Because it makes me money.
Exactly. On that, and again, it's on another thing. Somebody asked me to ask how many fake profiles you have.
None. I have 0 fake profiles. Here's the thing. Years ago, I had a Facebook profile. I set up a personal Facebook profile as Jonathan Royle. It got taken down within about 2 or 3 months because people were complaining that that was not my birth name. Now, if I was to report every stage hypnotist who's ever slagged me off, who's got a personal profile in their stage name, there would be hundreds of stage hypnotists around the world getting their accounts closed.
Yeah.
Thing is, I'm not vindictive like most of them. So what I did was I set up a personal Facebook page in my birth name, Alex William Smith, so that if ever asked for proof of ID, as they do sometimes now, I could do. And then I set up a business page as Jonathan Royle. I do not have any fake accounts. Right. They are either in Alex William Smith personal, or they're in the name Hypnotist Jonathan Royle, or Jonathan Royle, or Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp, which is my business, or it's quite clearly me. I get accused of posting under fake names, but here's the thing. It isn't me.
Yeah.
You know who it probably is? Affiliates who are earning commissions for promoting my products.
Brilliant. I just had a point then. I can't remember what it was. It came and it went. Yeah.
Jesse Lewis says, what's the software? I teach all about that in my Passive Hypnosis Profits program and my Millionaire Plan program that reveal to you all the techniques that enable me to buy my own home outright for cash, walking into the office with a case of cash and buying my own property before I was 30 years of age. All the secrets are in there, and those sets, which you can buy on their own, but they're like $300 each, so that'd be $600 for the pair, are actually in the boot camp you can get for $497. Look at the comments.
Which there will be a link for. I actually think sometimes it annoys people because I think there's a lot of hypnotists that suffer from the opposite end of that. People don't shout about what they do enough. Now, don't get me wrong, you take it to the extreme. You know, your software posts everywhere for you. That is on one extreme. But
that's why they're not doing that. That's not why they're not doing the shows that they would like to be doing.
Yeah.
That's why they're not doing as many shows as they would like, or they're not earning as much per show. In England, okay, if people go to my website, magicalguru.com, they'll see that this is not a lie. It clearly states on my Stage Hypnosis show page on there that my appearance fee for a stage hypnosis show. Now, some people in America are suddenly going to go, that's shit money, because America's a totally different place and different industry. In England, the average, and Grant will confirm if I'm talking nonsense here or not, there are stage hypnotists going out for 100, 150, 200 pounds, 250 pounds sterling.
Yeah. Trying to get stage time.
Yeah. And in fact, there's people who've been doing it for years who are still only going out for 300 and 350 pounds sterling.
Wow.
Okay. I blatantly say on my website that I will not do a show I'll only do shows in a 25-mile radius of where I live, so sort of Greater Manchester area, and that would cost them at least £1,250 sterling, plus travel expenses on top and all this, that, the other. But that any further than that, there will be additional costs, and then basically the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
So obviously, to put it in perspective, just before we went into lockdown, I was flown out by royalty to I've had a mental block, not the Maldives, the Seychelles.
Yeah.
5-star luxury accommodation, food and drinks paid for, first class flights, and a fee that most UK stage hypnotists would probably have to do. Even, well, the ones that are getting, say, £350 a show would have to do sort of best part of 20 shows.
Yeah.
To earn what I earn in one gig. It's about positioning yourself, and that's not because I'm anything mega special. And you know what? It isn't actually because I've done hundreds of TV shows around the world, which I have. It's not because I had a 1-hour special on German RTL in the early 90s. It's not because I've made my own 6-part European surreal comedy magic street hypnosis series in Amsterdam nearly 21 years ago, which you can now watch for free on my website. It's not because of those things at all. It's because of the marketing, advertising, publicity, and promotion that runs on autopilot in the background that markets me not as a hypnotist. When people book me, they don't book a comedy hypnotist, because there's so many other people that could book doing probably just as good a show a lot cheaper. When they book me, they're booking Jonathan Royle.
Yes.
They're booking the British bad boy of hypnosis.
Speaking of bad boy of hypnosis, I don't want to put you on the spot here. There's a comment coming from Darren Fraser. It says, what was the controversy where you had a video or screenshots of another hypnotist admitting that he had hired someone to plant bad information on a fellow hypnotist? Is that info still around?
I vaguely recall. Oh, they put here, what was the controversy where you had a video or screenshots of Richard Barker admitting he died? Sorry, it's in the chat box, so I'm going to read it out. I didn't say it. If Richard's watching, hi. Hope your tour in UK went well, and I'm so glad your license came through. I did tell the council to give it you. Which, you know, is bizarre. Just to put that in perspective, I told the council to give Richard his license. So, because some people seem to think we don't get on. We do. Richard booked me as the first ever headline speaker on the first ever Hypnotist entertainment cruise that he did in Florida back in 2013, I think it was, where I was teaching hypnosis and mentalism. And now it's nice to see that Richard's also doing a mentalism act as well as hypnosis. What was it? Well, I'll tell you what it was in a nutshell, because some people remember. It will probably be on Web Archive. But yeah, at the time, Richard did say one or two things in private messages to Justine Trans that were basically cruel and defamatory, some would argue, about me. And I did put a blog up with those posts on at the time. I reconsidered that a number of months later, so I deleted the blog from my blog. However, as such is the internet, it probably does exist on Web Archive. The simple fact is that I had a rethink, I deleted it, I contacted Richard and said, look, fact is, send the screenshots, that was said, but you know what? It was just in trance, and you know, he's a liar and a manipulator, and so sod it.
I think
let's call it water under the bridge. And
exactly.
So I deleted it and made up with Richard, and basically forgave him for the comments that he'd made about me that were incorrect and untrue.
And I think sometimes what people say in private messages is one thing versus out in public. So it's weird because there's a lot of, especially kind of pre-COVID, you know.
I live by this rule, and I think everybody should. And especially my experience with the media over the years, because I used to be an undercover journalist as well at one time. Don't say anything to anyone, whether it's on the phone, in person, via email, on social media, anywhere, that you wouldn't be prepared to say to the person's face.
Yes.
Now, further than that, you might be prepared to say it to the face, but consider, is it legal for me to do so? Would that be classed as defamation?
Yeah.
I think that's a rule to live by.
Yes. Question here from Colin Chapman. When you go, sorry, my thing's in the way there. When you go out there saying there's no such thing as hypnosis, or that hypnosis is bullshit, do you think that helps hypnotists or hurts the hypnosis profession?
To be honest, I couldn't give a shit. That sounds, but I couldn't. You know why? Yeah. It doesn't hurt me.
Yeah.
I make money. It doesn't hurt my students. Anyone who studies what's in my Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp will not care less about other hypnotists. You know why? You shouldn't. There's too much. The only person you should bother about is yourself.
Yeah.
It's your own business. Be you. Be Grant Saunders. Be Colin Chapman. Who gives a flying fuck what other hypnotists are doing? They're not putting food on your table. They're not paying your mortgage. If you can sell your show and make more money than other people, and it's legal and lawful, do it. But actually, here's the less flippant answer. Yeah, I categorically have always said and still do, there's no such thing as hypnosis. Hypnosis does not exist. In fact, it only exists in the mind of the believer. And I actually open my stage hypnosis shows and say, ladies and gentlemen, got a shock for you. Hypnosis is bollocks. It doesn't exist. It exists only in the mind of the believer. Now, let's see if there's any believers out there tonight, because if there are believers out there, then we can apparently hypnotize you. But you know what, in truth, I'll just be manipulating you emotionally and psychologically into doing things you wouldn't normally do. I tell them the truth, because that's all hypnosis is, emotional and psychological manipulation with an important seeming ritualistic process.
Yes, but deep down, do you believe in hypnosis?
Only in the context that it's a name given to a mind state where people come to believe. They come to believe because they get convinced, or they convince themselves that they're in some special state. But that's generally an excuse to them internally at a rationalizational level, because then they can say that the hypnotist made me do it. I'm not to blame for making an idiot of myself. Or in therapy, they can say, I needed the therapist to help me, and it's not my fault that I didn't previously do X, Y, or Z in my life. It becomes an internal rationalization at a deep unconscious, subconscious level that they're perhaps not even consciously aware of. So if they were connected to a lie detector, they would genuinely pass as believing they were hypnotized. But in truth, no, it's a psychological, emotional, manipulative ploy. It's propaganda techniques used. You know, the governments are using the same techniques but on a much higher level. You know, I made a documentary about it, Extreme Danger, Extreme Hypnosis.
Yes.
Go on magicalguru.com, click on Extreme Danger, Extreme Hypnosis. You can watch my documentary where I categorically say, yes, using so-called hypnotic techniques, despite the fact it only exists in the mind of the believer, if you manipulate somebody emotionally and psychologically, then you can get someone to murder somebody else. Yes, you can. You can make people do things against their will. Can you? How do I know this? Well, I've done it in the past for media companies where we perhaps borderline illegally, but certainly unethically, until it was there again, the people involved, once it had been done on them, it was revealed to them, and we had to get their legal permission for it to be shown on television, but I've got people to reveal their banking PIN codes to me, the confidential computer passwords for things like the Gadget Show in England, to prove that it's possible to, and then they had no recollection of doing it. So it comes down to what you definitely, if you mean, does hypnosis exist the way Orman McGill explains it in the New Encyclopedia? Does it bollocks? And you know what? When I met Orman McGill, he admitted as much at a Supreme Magic convention in the 80s. Gil Boyne had a telephone conversation with me when he was living in London and openly admitted hypnosis is bollocks. I've had conversations with the biggest names in stage hypnosis, mainly because I've either promoted them in the past, or I've worked with them, or I've helped get people into their seminars, or I've been their legal advisors when they've come to this country, or I've been the backroom boy for their television specials. And they all admit, the ones that, you know, that it's bollocks.
Yes.
It's bollocks. It's emotional and psychological manipulation. That's all it is.
Andre's got a good point, and I think that's where people misunderstand what you're saying when you say that. Andre says he disagrees.
Good. You can disagree. You're wrong, but you can disagree.
But he says that's like saying dreaming only happens to people that believe in dreams. But
no, it isn't. No, it isn't. Dreaming is a neurological function of the brain. The fact that not everybody remembers their dreams all of the time, and that has no relevance on the fact whatsoever that what some people, whether they're hypnotists or so-called hypnotic subjects, label as hypnosis is not a special state in any way. Nobody's ever proven it is, and all these so-called brainwave things that show that it's a special state are bollocks, because they've all got one fundamental flaw. All hypnosis is suggestion. Purely suggestion. And any time that you connect somebody to something to test them, that itself is a non-verbal suggestion, and therefore suggestion is in play, thus rendering the testing effectively moot. You know, if any of you watching think I'm wrong, contact Kreskin. The amazing Kreskin is still alive. I think he's still offering 100,000 United States dollars to anyone who can prove hypnosis exists and is a special state. I guarantee you'll never get the money because you can't prove it, because I'm right and anyone who thinks different is wrong.
Right. Getting back to the show, Ian Rogers says in April he's got a wedding show to do. Can either of you recommend some skits I could pinch? To be fair, for wedding shows, I've done a couple of those over my times. Any standard routines work well within a wedding setting. The good thing is you can put the suggestion out there that there is this couple's big day, and you don't want you guys to spoil this by doing a shit show. So make sure you all behave yourselves and do a good show, and it makes it a lot easier to put that peer pressure on them to conform and do a good show.
Unless somebody was paying me a hugely obscene amount of money, I frankly just wouldn't do a show at a wedding personally. But that's personal choice. Don't enjoy them in the slightest.
I love them. I can be in the car on the way home at 9 o'clock.
Well, yeah, that's a good sign. Don't get me wrong. If somebody actually, there's one or two clients who, if they contacted me and said they wanted me at their wedding, I know immediately because they know the nature of the shows I prefer to perform.
Yeah.
That I actually would accept those, because I could do pretty much my normal show. But generally speaking, weddings are not a place for Jonathan Royle to perform.
No.
Not that there's anything illegal about what I do,
no.
Because there isn't. Everything I do falls within all laws and can be fully licensed. No, I won't agree to disagree, Andre. You know why? Because I'm right and you're wrong. And the scientific weight of evidence worldwide confirms that. If you want to prove me wrong, don't agree to disagree. Have the courage to stand by what you're saying. Otherwise, you're full of shit. Have the courage to go and prove hypnosis is a special state to the amazing Kreskin and claim his $100,000. Go to the James Randi Educational Foundation, go to the Magic Circle and all the other places that are offering money. I don't think the Magic Circle are anymore. And but Kreskin is definitely still alive. Yes. And you won't get the money. You know why? Because you can't prove it.
Right.
Whereas
okay.
I can.
So pulling it back a little bit.
Stage hypnotists you like currently, the ones that are members of my Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp. So obviously Grant is one of those. Basically, people I've either taught, influenced, or advised in their careers tend to come quite high up that list for obvious reasons of preference, and the fact that they tend to operate in a fully lawful, legal, ethical, and above all else safe manner. The vast majority of stage hypnotists out there, including some that are working pros, and I mean this worldwide, are frankly fucking dangerous in some of what they do. And if they've not studied the transparency template, there's nobody out there teaching you safety properly except for the transparency template. This safe on stage thing that Justin James set up in America, it's just a farce to go to enough of a level of safety training that the insurance company will give insurance.
Yeah.
It doesn't even scrape 1% of the safety information that's taught in the transparency template.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though. I mean, stage hypnotists being conscious of the health and safety elements of a show, I think is a good thing, moving in that direction. And it's not so much the psychological damage that it could cause. It is about the trailing cables. It is about the accidents that can happen on stage. That is the issue. So
it is largely, but actually, you know what? A lot of it is, there's more about psychological damage than most stage hypnotists realize. And that's because they think a lot of them think hypnosis exists and they believe what they've read in their textbooks. Most of those textbooks were written by people who've come to believe the bollocks they were taught by the person who taught them. And this tends to trace back to people like Gil Boyne, Armin McGill and such, who were seen as the deans. But you know what? In private, they all admitted to me it's bollocks and bunkum.
Yes.
You go on myhypnosisweek.com, YouTube, well, it's Celebrity Hypnotist YouTube channel. Click on the playlists and click on Hypnosis Week. Find my interview with Tom Silver, and we discuss Gil Boyne and Armin McGill, and I bring up the fact that Armin in private would admit it was all bollocks, and Tom gives his opinion as well. And it may not be what you expect it to be.
Yes. I mean, stage hypnosis fundamentally is entertainment.
Well, sadly, most stage hypnotists I've seen that could probably get them done under the Trades Description Act for claiming that. But yeah, it's meant to be.
Meant to be. So yeah, try and bring it back a bit. At least we're getting to see your softer side tonight.
Softer side. I've got a free gift for you. Oh. Sound system stuff. Remind me about sound systems later. But go on.
Stuff. Yeah. Going back to the show side of stuff as well. Again, in the heyday in the 90s, shows were very different to what they are now. What's your favorite routine? Because I saw the stuff on the Word with Peter Powers, which I thought that was a great skit. What's your favorite? It doesn't have to be shocking. It doesn't have to be controversial. What's your favorite routine you've performed and why?
To be honest, that's it's not the funniest routine in terms of reaction. I have other routines that get about reaction, but one I particularly like is my Amy Winehouse routine. Now, a lot of other hypnotists are doing it now, but I can prove by documented video and written fact that I was the first stage hypnotist, unless somebody can provide footage that predates me doing it, which is when she first released the song Valerie. And she was mentioned in the British media as apparently having a big cocaine habit. I'd get a bag of flour, put it on somebody's lap, have a bit of Valerie playing, saying, a few moments' time when you hear this piece of music, and it'd be a bit of Valerie. I go, you will believe you are the world's living reincarnation. You are the living embodiment of, I just had a mental block on her name. Yeah. Of Amy Winehouse, yes, indeed. And you'll be doing your latest hit here, but you'll try, without the audience realising, to have a bit of sniff, a bit of Bavarian marching powder. But every time you try to sniff it, you'll realise your nose doesn't exist. So they're doing the dancing along bit with the fake microphone, but also with a bag of flour in the hand. And every now and again, they're getting stuff and they're trying to get, and they end up covered head to toe in bloody flour. And I just find it funny that they're, afterwards, when they go out with the girls to other venues, they've got to spend the night explaining why they're like that, and thus talking about how they saw the hypnotist Jonathan Royle.
Yes. Richard Cole, great question as well. What can hypnotists do to create something new for the industry? And
You've got more chance of juggling soot or plaiting sawdust. With the great,
for me, I think you've just answered it there. It's taking what's current affairs that's in the news, that's, you know, who's a big star at the moment, and adapting one of the older routines.
Yeah,
to make that fit.
That's the closest you're going to get.
Yeah,
you know,
nothing new. It's always about the rules of comedy are the same. It's always, you know, someone losing something, someone getting stuck to something, someone getting confused, someone thinking there's somebody. All of those.
It's like 7 jokes or something. If you type in Google, it's not to do with hypnosis, but something like the 7 punch or 7 jokes. It's exaggeration. Confusion, imitation, whatever. Search it on Google. The answer's there. But make it relevant to today. And that is all you can do.
And then you've done the lose a body part routine, which is as old as the hills, but then made it current by making it about Amy Winehouse, who was in the news for that.
To use the word new, law, in that context of the word new, just to be pedantic about answering it, I would say you've got more chance of juggling or plaiting sawdust, because anything new to be done that would actually be entertaining. Well, I've seen so many attempts at making stage hypnosis new. Let's get people from the audience and have some real actors on stage and they interact together. And there's an improvised play. What a pile of shite that was.
I went to an exhibition a few years ago, and there was a big stand from a group called Hypno Twist. And I've gone over, I've asked them the price, and they've told me, and I think it was something ridiculous, like £2,500. And I'm like, so what is it then? Are you a hypnotist? I went, oh no, we're like singing waiters. So what we do is we have a guy pretend to be a hypnotist, and then he pretends to hypnotize the waiters, and then they get up stage and start singing stuff. And I'm like, excellent. So you're actually selling fake hypnosis for more money than what most hypnotists go out for, with the premise of this
marketing, advertising, publicity, and promotion.
And do you know what? And they spent a good couple of years being very busy as well. So,
but the new thing, the stuff that could be done new has been done in the past decade.
Yeah. And
that was to present it in a different manner. And that was done by Derren Brown, the British psychological illusionist, who started off as a stage hypnotist, whose shows were made by a company for many years called Objective Productions. And Objective Productions over the years have bought practically all of my stage hypnosis and mentalism training DVDs. And I can categorically state have used ideas of mine in television shows that they have made. And I can say that categorically because it's true. I can't get sued. I can prove it. And Andy Nyman, who is one of Derren Brown's advisors, confirmed such in front of witnesses at Blackpool Magic Convention in 2009. When I say I'm the backroom boy to a lot of big names out there, I can't mention a lot of them because of secrecy agreements, but I have advised finalists in one particular finalist in Britain's Got Talent in the past. Well, I can mention him because he's given me a testimonial. James Samuel, who was in a group called 4MG, a magic group. I taught him hypnosis and he uses that within his routines, suggestion-wise. The stuff that could be done new, it's been done. There's nowhere to go with it that's entertaining. No. So your best thing to do is market yourself and make people think you're doing something new. Because then when they pay a big fee for you, believe me, they'll make themselves believe they've seen something new because they don't want the cognitive dissonance of thinking, why did I pay that much for something that isn't new?
So a couple of things. CJ Jackson's put up a great question about what is the go-to 90% instant induction you rely on and gives the best results?
Seesaw.
There you go.
The Seesaw Rapid Induction, devised by Robert J. Temple, who is one of my students. Again, you will see he's touring England, filling theatres. I wrote his first ever proper theatre type show for him that was done at a place called the Birdcage, where there's footage of him doing this Seesaw induction. It looks to hypnotists watching it as though it's just the light and heavy hands, and then the hands are moved around, and then the person's out of it. And it looks as though it's just a combination of kind of the light and heavy hands test with the handshake induction, with the cat. They'll come out with loads of different things. But trust me, there's a damn sight more to it than that. Yes. And it's taught on the transparency template and in the Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp. And I found that that works 100% of the time with 100% of the volunteers who genuinely want to be hypnotized.
Yes.
The complete and utter twats who get up just so that they can go back and go, we tried it on me. Well, nothing will work on them. But the ones that genuinely want to be hypnotized, I found that the Seesaw induction has a 100% success rate on them. And it can be as slow and as visual as you want, or it can be as fast. We've on the training videos, Rob and myself, I think Rob, from approaching somebody completely cold, no pre-show, secret filming, going up and going, hi, my name's Robert Temple, I'm a hypnotist, would you like to be hypnotized? And the person giving their permission and consent to them being out of it under what most hypnotists would call deep somnambulism, that's what it looks like, was 43 seconds flat, including the legal UK pre-talk.
Yes. Looking back at your career, and it served you well to be seen as quite controversial, and you've done things that have been controversial. But
I've done some things I regret as well.
Well,
I don't mind admitting that.
That's my point. Now, would you recommend a newer stage hypnotist that's just getting out there now? Would you recommend them to do the same things, or would you tell them to kind of hold it back a little bit?
You could model the idea and strategies as I teach in the Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp, but you could never do the same for a couple of reasons. A, I've already done it. And B, you wouldn't want to in the day and age we live in do it. It was bad enough in the 90s, in the early 90s, that I appeared is the key word, appeared to wake a woman up on a show and think she'd just been raped. And the carrot between my legs was a male body part and that she snapped it and stuff. And this caused controversy, went on this TV show and then made newspaper headlines and whatnot.
Wow.
The truth is, she was fully clothed, and also she didn't suffer any emotional damage due to one key thing. She wasn't even hypnotized, A, because hypnosis doesn't exist, and B, because she was a paid actress and it was staged just to get publicity. But I did occasionally, once or twice, do that routine in live shows in the very early 90s. But let's look at something. Christopher Caress butts up, a good friend of mine, Christopher, put up a video on his Facebook page the other day where he's on a cruise and the music starts and males and females are coming up to him and hugging him and caressing him because they've fallen in love with him. And then suddenly he opens his mouth. I'm assuming that was the trigger for them to suddenly think he's ugly and horrible and they storm off. Ken Webster, for years, did a routine where the person would fall in love with him on stage, grab hold of him or another audience member that they'd fallen in love with, and then in a few moments' time, when he clicks his fingers, they'll suddenly realise it's no longer the person of their dreams, it's a horrible, smelly pervert. And the click of the fingers, they suddenly go, ooh, and slap them or whatever. These are all the same routine. They are effectively, when you wake up or get this trigger, you'll feel as though you've been interfered with, violated. I just used that more emotionally emotive word, raped. And it gave me publicity you couldn't afford to buy in the early 90s. Could you do that now? No, because of the cancel culture we live in, you'd never work again.
Yeah, and I think entertainment and hypnosis, it is a bit more sophisticated now. But yeah, like you say, well,
is it bollocks? What it is censored and policed. Some people have got the balls to go out there and make money saying it as it is. Chubby Brown in England, there's a reason he still fills box offices and sells out, and it's because people do want a bit of filth, they do want a bit of smut. And when it comes to stage hypnosis, you know what, deep down, whatever the prude audience members say, they enjoy more seeing people humiliated and made to do things that they obviously never would normally do than just sitting there and watching them do things that a DJ can get people to do more. You go into a nightclub in Ibiza or even in Manchester or Blackpool at the height of the season, and you'll hear DJs go, The first woman to bring me a warm, moist pair of knickers, and this is still happening now. This happened to bring me a warm, moist pair of knickers to the DJ stand will get a bottle of bubbly. They've got a $1.99, $2 or $3 bottle of Chateau de Shite, and you will see all the women scrambling to take their knickers off on the dance floor.
Well, I mean,
that's psychological manipulation. That's hypnosis.
That's Northern England entertainment. Yeah. So, yeah.
Too many stage hypnotists are full of themselves. They think they've got a special skill. You haven't. The only special skill you might have is if you've actually bothered to learn acting, dancing, movement, present stagecraft, so that you're an entertainer and are entertaining in your own right. Most stage hypnotists, sadly, are dull as ditch water and have the personality of a toilet that's full.
But for me, I think no matter what material you present, if it's adult, if it's extreme, if it's shocking, if it's family friendly, I think delivered well is delivered well. You've still got to be able to deliver it well. I think a lot of people with hypnosis, and what damaged hypnosis is a lot of people couldn't deliver it well, so they just went for a shocking reaction. Now, that's not taken away from the Bernard Mannings or the
sadly still going on a lot. There's a lot of stage hypnotists out there.
Exactly. So they rely on the shock factor to look like they're being entertaining. And that's the difference. And there's nothing wrong in adult material, but there is something wrong in shit material. And I think that's the difference. And I think, I run a clean show. I don't say there's anything wrong in adult shows, but it's horses for courses where the places go. In the UK, stage hypnosis does have a reputation for being that shocking stuff, and not so much for the shocking material of the 90s, just because these guys that are shocking in how they deliver it. So it's trying to bring that balance of bringing it forward as much as we can, if you know what I mean.
The truth is, if you remove the swearing, verbal swearing from my show, my so-called adult show as it is now, it's very different than the 90s. My so-called adult show now, if you take out the swearing and the one-liner adult jokes, the verbal jokes that I make, because sometimes I'll do an hour and a half straight through, no interval, for certain corporate events after dinner. Book me for an adult show, believe it or not, because they know what they're getting. And at the first 40 minutes of that, before I even get any volunteers on stage, not a pre-talk, it's stand-up comedy. It's jokes. It's comedy. Because I'm an entertainer. I don't need hypnosis. I could stand on the stage for the hour and a half, never hypnotize anyone, and nobody will complain because they've been entertained. That's what you should aspire to. Yeah. And
I think that comes from repetition. The same with anything. You do the reps, you get that in. Very quickly, because we're over time a little bit, but a couple of things. One. You've just been down to London for, is it the Court of Appeals? How did that go? What was,
Well, in 1998, News of the World published a story that was something that I learn more about it at circusofthemind.net. That's circus, CIRCUSOFTHEMIND, circusofthemind.net. We'll give you the background so I don't have to explain it all. But it backfired a bit and I got a prison sentence. I've been appealing it. I've been to the Criminal Cases Review Commission. That didn't work. I then realised that I could go back to the Court of Appeal. I was at the Royal Courts of Justice in London, but because it's so many years on, I have to apply for permission for them to let me put my new evidence to the court, because I've now got evidence that my phone was hacked. I've got evidence that other illegal things were done. I've got evidence that I was drugged. They put date rape drugs in my drinks. I've got statements from former employees of Mazza Mahmood, the fake sheikh, that worked with him, that they witnessed this happening on stings. And but I have to get permission from the court, and I went and applied for that, and they said because all this happened in 1998, they wouldn't give me permission. So what I've got to do now is go to the Criminal Cases Review Commission with my new evidence, which I've got. It's a formality. It'll probably take 12 to 18 months, and then they will turn around and tell the Court of Appeal that they have to look at my new evidence. The nature of the evidence I've got, which if you look at circusofthemind.net, you'll see that all the lies and vindictive bullshit posted about me on the internet is exactly that. The truth is that anything regarding that ridiculous news of the world story is that I set out to expose the illegal and dishonest techniques of the news of the world that have since come to light, and the newspapers shut down, and they paid out millions and millions, tens of millions of pounds to people whose phones they hacked or lied about. And I'm currently got litigation against Murdoch in the civil nature as well for illegal information gathering. So yeah, look at circusofthemind.net about that. Yeah. I see that Natasha's put a link below. I'm giving everyone a free ebook. The link will work for free, but only until the end of February 2022. I've set it to allow you to download an ebook and video package on affordable remote control sound systems for entertainers. Really portable ones that fit in your inside pocket that you can fly to other countries. So if your luggage gets lost and the venue doesn't have the right thing, you've got it, up to bigger media systems. Anyway, it's free. Go and get that free gift.
Brilliant. Just moving back, I just have to say this because it was just a funny thought that popped into my head. I think my average Facebook post is maybe a couple of hundred characters. I know your average Facebook post is maybe 6 or 7, maybe 18 pages in length. I can just imagine the poor look on that courts clerk face, because I can imagine your legal documents are absolutely unbelievable.
New evidence collected in the past 12 months, as you'll see on circusofthemind.net, there was about 20 witness statements, including celebrities who's had their phones hacked and other illegal things done on them, who kindly gave me witness statements about how what had happened to them is the same as what had happened to me, together with evidence and stuff such as receipts proving that private investigators were paid to do illegal things on me, and other people were paid to lie and edit things to make me look bad that weren't really said or done. And in total, it was over 2,500 A4 pages. The legal bundle was over 2,500 A4 pages.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, good luck with that. I mean, I know, and it's been a massive thing for
it's just a matter of time.
Exactly.
Anyone who looks at circusofthemind.net will see the truth rather than the vindictive, defamatory bullshit that people post on the internet.
Yeah, but once that's done, it's something that's been over your head for a long time that can be taken away, and it eases a lot of that. I've got a couple of links. We are going to have to cut it short. I've got a couple of links here to your boot camp, and you've got a course coming up in March.
Start of March on Zoom. I've got a 4-day. Reason it's 4 days is because it'll run from 8 o'clock in the evening United Kingdom time, which is 12 p.m. PST or 3 p.m. Eastern time. So 8 o'clock UK time until 11:15 on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday at the start of March. Details are at the link that will be below. Now, anyone who books for that, it's mainly a therapy course, but we will be covering stage as well. And I guarantee to teach you things no one else is teaching. But we'll get lifetime membership to the boot camp. And the thing is, the boot camp, to buy everything in it individually, would cost you over $15,000 off my different websites.
I had a look at it earlier. And when I say there's a lot of information in there, there is a lot of information in there.
You never will need anything again, whether it's hypnosis techniques for stage or therapy, whether you want to learn mentalism or you want to learn about marketing, advertising, publicity and promotion. Look at the link. You get everything in the Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp. Everything that's mentioned at ultimatehypnosiscourse.com. Look at ultimatehypnosiscourse.com, but then don't order from there. Come back here and use the link that Grant's posted, because when you use that link, you will get lifetime membership to the Elite Hypnosis Bootcamp, not for $5,000, but for free, because you'll get it as a free gift when you book on my March event. And if you can't attend the Zoom sessions, don't worry. It'll be recorded and you'll be sent replays of them. And this will cost you only £397 United Kingdom sterling. You'll earn that back with one therapy client. And if you've never done therapy, don't worry. You'll learn everything you need in the bootcamp. Or you'll earn it back by increasing your fees as a stage hypnotist. The first show where you increase your fees. And here's the other thing. It comes with a full 1 year, 100% satisfaction money back guarantee. A money back guarantee that says when you book on the time trance Mind Hacks to the Future course. The link's above or below this video. Book on it and get your free bootcamp membership. Test it out for a year. Put it to use in the real world. If you don't make at least 12,000 United States dollars or 12,000 United Kingdom sterling or 12,000 euros more bottom line profits, that's profits after expenses, from your hypnosis skills and business using what's taught in the bootcamp, then I'll give you 100% of your money back.
There you go.
You can't lose. And yes, the transparency template is in there. And I can guarantee you, if you're a stage hypnotist, until you've studied that, you really don't know about safety and being legal and lawful around the world.
Brilliant. Alex, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah. And anyone else has got questions, bang them below and tag me, Alex William Smith.
Yeah.
Because I'm facebook.com/Alex the Hypnotist. And then when I get a chance tomorrow, I'll type a reply.
Brilliant.
But don't be scared. Inbox message me. Ask me questions.
But
Don't mind.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for joining
Cheers,
us.
Grant. Cheers, everyone.
As well. It's been an absolute pleasure. Guys, take care. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Guys, that was Alex Smith, Jonathan Royle, sharing his stories. Absolutely amazing. Guys, thank you for joining us. Each week we bring you an expert stage hypnotist. Please do check back in as well. And thank you. Please do hit Alex up any questions and connect with him as well. Guys, from me this week, it's been an absolute pleasure. Take care and I'll see you again soon.